Zero assets heading into 2026? Don't panic. Starting from zero isn't a curse, it's your ultimate clean slate to build real wealth.
So, you're looking ahead to 2026, and maybe you're feeling a little anxious about money. I get it, you're not alone. I mean, all you hear about are high interest rates, AI taking jobs, a housing market that seems, well, impossible. It's really easy to feel like the game is rigged against you. But what if starting from zero isn't a bad thing? What if it's actually the perfect clean slate to build real, lasting wealth? Let's dive into a complete step-by-step roadmap that's designed for the world we're actually living in. Just let that sink in for a second. It's New Year's Day, 2026. You open your banking app, and it's all zeros. You've got your job, maybe you've got some debt, but you have no assets to your name. Now, for most people, that's a terrifying thought, right? It sounds like panic mode. But really, it's a moment of absolute clarity. From here, from zero, you're free from past mistakes. You can run a flawless, unemotional strategy. This isn't about getting lucky or trying to time the market. This is about a clear, mathematical path to your first $100,000. But before we can even start building, we have to deal with the biggest obstacle first. Before you even think about buying a single stock, you have to plug the leak in your financial bucket. And that leak is called the negative compounding trap. It's this invisible anchor that's just constantly dragging you backward. See, a lot of people think they can out-invest their high-interest debt. They think, oh, I'll make 10% in the market. That'll beat my 24% credit card. No, that's like trying to fill a bucket that has no bottom. Every single dollar you might make from an investment is getting devoured by interest payments, and then some. So until that hole is plugged, the stock market is a total no-go zone for you. And that brings us to phase one. We're not playing offense yet, not even close. Right now, it's all about building a fortress. This is pure defense. It's about getting rid of the biggest threats to your financial survival so you can build a solid foundation to launch from later on. Think about this number for a second. People will spend years trying to find an edge, trying to find some hot stock that might give them a 20% return. And that comes with a ton of risk, right? But if you have a credit card that's charging you 20% interest, paying that card off gives you a mathematically guaranteed, tax-free 20% return on your money. You literally cannot find that kind of secure, powerful return anywhere else on planet Earth. The math on this is just, it's undeniable. And look, the numbers do not lie. This table lays out the trap in perfect detail. Let's say you have a $5,000 balance at a pretty typical 24% interest rate. If you only make minimum payments, you're going to end up paying back almost double what you borrowed, and you'll be stuck in debt for over a decade. But if you get aggressive with it, you save thousands of dollars, and, way more importantly, you buy back 8 years of your life. That interest isn't just a number on a statement. It's your future wealth being systematically handed over to a bank. And this really gets to the heart of it. The financial cost is one thing, that's obvious, but the psychological cost is so much bigger. Debt locks you into what's called a scarcity mindset. You start making all your decisions from a place of fear. You're afraid to ask for that raise. You're afraid to take a smart career risk. You're afraid to move for a better job because what if you miss a payment? You're basically shackled. Getting rid of this debt isn't just a financial transaction, it's a psychological unlock. It gives you the freedom and the confidence to finally start playing offense with your life. Okay, so here's the game plan. It's simple and it's ruthless. You list out every single debt you have, but you only order them by one thing, the interest rate, from highest to lowest. Then, you treat that debt at the top of the list like your house is on fire. You sell stuff you don't need, you cancel subscriptions, you do whatever it takes. You throw every spare dollar you can find at it. And once it's dead, you take all the money you were paying on it and you roll it onto the next one on the list. This creates an avalanche of cash that just demolishes your debt faster and faster. This is how we clear the deck for what's next. Okay, so the high interest debt is gone, your cash flow's freed up, and man, the temptation is real, right? You just want to throw every single dollar into the S&P 500 and get that sweet, sweet compounding started. But if you do that, you're walking right into a trap that gets 90% of new investors. Why? Because life happens. Your car's transmission blows, you get a surprise medical bill, your company has layoffs. If every last cent you have is tied up in the market when that happens and the market happens to be down, you're forced to sell your investments at a loss. You've just permanently broken your own wealth machine. Just look at this scenario. You've got investor A and investor B. The market drops 20% for both of them, and then, bam, they both lose their jobs. Investor A, who's fully invested, has zero choice. They have to sell their stocks at the absolute bottom of the market just to pay rent. They've permanently destroyed a chunk of their wealth. But investor B, they just dip into their cash buffer. Their investment portfolio stays completely untouched, ready to recover and keep growing when the market turns around. That cash isn't an investment. It's insurance. It's insurance against making a catastrophic, emotional decision at the worst possible time. So here's the protocol, and this part is non-negotiable. First, figure out your absolute bare-bones survival number. I'm talking just rent, food, essential utilities, nothing extra. Take that number and multiply it by 3. That's your target. Then, you open up a high-yield savings account that is completely separate from your day-to-day checking account. And you automate transfers until it's full. And once it's full, you forget it exists. This is your sleep well at night fund. It creates the stability you need to ride out any storm without panicking. All right, the fortress is built, the debt is gone, the cash buffer is full, your foundation is rock solid. Now, and only now, do we get to switch from defense to offense. This is where we start building the real engine of your wealth. And I'm going to warn you right now, the most effective path forward is almost always the most boring one. You know, the urge to find the next big thing is so human. We all want to believe we're smart enough to pick the winners, but let's just ignore the hype and look at the cold, hard data. This chart uses data from the SPIVA scorecards, and it tracks professional fund managers. These are people who are paid millions of dollars to pick stocks full-time. And over any real long-term period, more than 90% of them fail to beat a simple, cheap market average. The smartest move isn't trying to find the needle in the haystack, it's just buying the whole haystack. Here's the problem with simple index fund investing, though. It's not that it doesn't work, it absolutely does. It's that it's profoundly, deeply boring. It gives you 0 dopamine hits. There are no rocket ship emojis on social media for buying VTI. Our brains are wired for action. They want to feel like we're making clever moves. And that instinct is what pushes people into day trading and speculating, which is really just gambling with better marketing. The mental trick you have to pull off to win is to accept that real long-term investing should feel about as exciting as watching paint dry. So how do we balance our boring, effective strategy with our brain's need for some action? We use the core satellite approach. This is the perfect practical solution. 90% of all your investment money goes into your boring, reliable core. You set up automated contributions to a low-cost, broad market index fund, and you just let it be. The other 10%, that's your satellite. That's your play money. If you want to take a flyer on a single stock or buy some crypto, you do it here and only here. This lets you scratch that gambling itch without ever putting your actual financial future at risk. Okay, so you've paid off your debt, you've built your cash buffer, and you're investing in the right funds. You're doing everything right. And you could still lose hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime to a silent killer, taxes. See, most people focus all their energy on what they invest in, but they totally ignore where they invest it. And this is the next giant leak in the bucket we have to plug. This table just shows you how massive the impact of tax drag is. Imagine you invest 10 grand and it grows to 100 grand over 30 years. In a normal brokerage account, when you sell, you could easily owe around $18,000 in capital gains taxes. Just poof, gone. But inside a Roth IRA, that same $100,000 is all yours, tax-free. That $18,000 difference had nothing to do with being a better investor. It was purely about choosing the right type of account. It's basically a legal cheat code for building wealth. So you have to stop thinking of the tax code as a burden. It's really a rule book for how to build wealth. And this is the exact order of operations, the waterfall. First, you contribute to your 401k, but only up to the point of the full employer match. Why? It's 100% return on your money. It's literally free money. Next, you move on and you fully max out a Roth IRA for that amazing tax-free growth. Then, if you can't, you max out an HSA. That's the holy grail of accounts. Tax-free in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. Only after all of those tax advantage buckets are completely full should you even think about putting money in a regular brokerage account. We've built the fortress. We've optimized the investing and the tax strategy, but there's one last piece of the puzzle. And honestly, it's the most powerful accelerator of them all. Think about it. You can only cut your expenses down so far. There's a hard floor on your spending, but there is absolutely no ceiling on how much you can earn. We've all heard that advice, right? Just stop buying lattes and you'll become a millionaire. That is a myth. Frankly, it's terrible advice. Sure, it's smart not to waste money, but in a world where everything is getting more expensive, you simply cannot budget your way to real wealth on a low income. Obsessing over cutting $5 expenses is playing defense, and playing defense just stops you from losing. Offense is how you win. You have to shift your mindset from, how do I save $5, to how do I earn an extra $500? And this slide really breaks down the two paths you can take. You've got the typical side hustle, like driving for a ride-sharing app. That's linear income. The second you stop driving, the money stops. It doesn't really scale. But now look at the other path. Investing that same time into a high-leverage skill that boosts your main career, like getting a certification in data analysis. That could lead to a recurring $20,000 salary bump. That raise shows up year after year. It gets factored into future raises, your 401k match. The math overwhelmingly favors investing in your primary income engine first. So here is the final protocol. You have to do a skill audit on yourself, and you have to ask a hard question. What is the one skill that if I truly mastered it would make me absolutely undeniable in my job? And you have to be honest. Identify that skill. Then, for the next 6 months, you dedicate 1 hour every single day, the hour you'd normally spend scrolling social media, to mastering it. After that, you take that new skill and you aggressively go after a raise or a better job. You have to embrace the discomfort of being a beginner again, because the comfort zone is where financial dreams go to die. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, from the psychology of debt all the way to the cold, hard mass of taxes and investing. So now let's bring it all together. Let's consolidate everything we've talked about into one single actionable playbook that you can start running on January 1st, 2026. Here it is, the entire strategy on one slide. Number 1, destroy your high-interest debt using the Avalanche method. That's your guaranteed return. Number 2, build a 3-month cash fortress so you can invest with confidence and sleep at night. 3, use the tax waterfall. Fill up those advantaged accounts first. 4, keep your investing core boring and reliable with a little 10% on the side for fun. And finally, number 5, shift your focus to offense. Aggressively upgrade your skills to turbocharge your income. That's the playbook. That is how you go from zero to building real sustainable wealth. In the end, this isn't about some secret stock tip. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-wealthy-for-sure scheme. It's all grounded in proven math and behavioral science. The path is clear. The rules of the game are all laid out for you. The only real question left is, are you ready to pick up the controller?